Greetings, Namaskar, Adab. This is your astrologer friend Irfan. There are a lot of videos on the internet which talk about how to read a chart, but there are very few or hardly any which talk about how you read a horoscope in its entirety, which means you understand what the Lagna means, what the different houses mean, what each of the signs mean, what are the planetary relationships, what is the placement of a Lagna Lord mean in a chart, and then what are the various yogs that you can read or conjunctions that you can read, and also to understand aspects vis-a-vis the special aspect that various planets have, and what is the relation of those aspects with planetary results. So this is my humble attempt to bring a holistic approach towards you reading your own horoscope, so that your dependency on a professional astrologer, at least to understand your horoscope, is reduced to a large extent. Of course, you would need more expertise in deducing or analyzing your chart for accurate predictions, but at least to understand at a basic level from a holistic point of view, this video should suffice, my friends. So let's start. So let's read how to understand a horoscope, how to analyze a horoscope, at least at a basic level, so that you may not be able to manage a professional astrologer, however, to a large extent you may be able to understand your own chart by knowing at least the basics. So let's start. So the first part of knowing the horoscope is to understand the structure. This is how a typical North Indian kundli or chart or horoscope would look like, where the first house is the ascendant, also called the Lagna, which means that at the time of your birth, the sign which was rising from the east becomes the ascendant, becomes the ruler of the Lagna or the horoscope, and that automatically becomes the first house. So if Aries was the sign rising in the east at the time of your birth, then your Lagna or your ascendant becomes that of Aries, which is different from your sun sign, which is based on what date of which month you're born in. So these are not the Western zodiac signs, however, these are based on the Lagna as per Vedic astrology, or astrology which was practiced in Vedic times. So if the sign which was rising in the east becomes the Lagna, or the ruling sign, or the ascendant, then the house that it occupies becomes the first house. So if Aries becomes the first house, then the second house automatically becomes that of Taurus, then the third becomes that of Gemini, and the fourth Cancer, fifth Leo, sixth Virgo, seventh Libra, eighth Scorpio, ninth Sagittarius, 10th Capricorn, 11th Aquarius, 12th Pisces. So one needs to understand and remember these 12 houses because they run in anti-clockwise direction. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. The next step is to understand the relationship between planets. This will take some time to understand, and the reason why Planetary has various planets have friends with some, neutral with some, and enemies with some others. Because based on these, the results of the planets also are ascertained. So if Moon is the friend of Sun, and if Sun is setting the sign of Moon, or vice versa, then one can understand that being a friend, good results will come out of the placement. However, if Mars is sitting in the sign of, say, Mercury, then of course there's going to be a challenge because Mars doesn't get along with Mercury. So this is the second step to understand and know the various relationship between planets. The third is to understand the meaning of the various houses. So various texts talk about different results or different meanings of houses 1 to 12. But in general, the first house is about the self, about self's demeanor, about self's health, about certain self's character, or about the individual's physique, the skin color. So generally, the entire physicality and the mindset is seen from the first house. So the sign which rules the first house to a large extent controls the entire horoscope and the results of the horoscope, and how will be the native or the individual whose horoscope it is. Then the second house, which controls or which is given the responsibility of immediate family, dependence, family wealth, or wealth coming to the family, or earnings, or savings. It also denotes speech and language, and also denotes the right eye. The third house is called the house of energy, hard work, self-enterprise, the ego, the right ear, neck, and also siblings, brothers and sisters, especially younger brothers and sisters. The fourth house denotes mother, all sorts of real estate assets, and all sorts of material benefits which makes our life comfortable, whether it's air conditioners, to cars, to houses, to everything, to phones, everything which can be seen, heard, or which can be touched, can be seen, can be heard, come under, or the position of those come under the fourth house. So this overall also means what is the happiness, the state of mind of the person, how happy he is or she is, and also denotes maternal relatives. The fifth house is the house of love, romance, children, ancient texts, reading ancient texts, and also of studies till graduation. This is also called the house of gambling or house of speculation, because a lot of speculatory conditions or a lot of speculatory habits are seen from this. This is also the house of interest, or what person's hobbies are, or what the person likes to do. So that's why gaming also comes under this, playing games comes under this, love and romance come under this as well. Even the sixth house is that of diseases, of competition, of hidden enemies, of court cases and litigations, also of the stomach, visceral organs, maternal uncle and aunt, and our subordinates and also our servants. Some ancient texts say that the third house is that of servants. So there may be minor differences between text to text or understanding to understanding. However, in general, this means the house of competition, the house of subordinates, the house of diseases. So the three houses, 6, 8, and 12, are the houses called as dusthanas, or the bad houses, or the houses of misfortune. Whereas the houses 1, 4, 7, and 10 are called the Kendra houses because in the center, and houses 5th and 9 are called houses of gains, or the trine houses, and they're called also the houses of good luck or gains. The first house is a part of both the Kendra because it's in the center. At the same time, it's called the trine because of the three corners of the horoscope. And then 6, 8, and 12, as I said, houses of misfortune or dusthanas, obstacles and losses. Whereas houses 3, 6, 10, and 11 are called the Upchaya houses, or houses which give better results over a period of time or as time passes. Then the 7th house denotes the house of marital relations, or your marriage partner, or your spouse, and also all this partnership that you have. The 8th house, the house of secrets, the house of longevity, and that's why it's also called the house of death, because it will give you the timing of your death, how long you're going to live. It will not denote or give death, but it will give you the timing or the reasons why you may pass away. So it gives you accidents, it gives you obstacles, it gives you. This also denotes external sexual organs and also in-laws and all sorts of things which are hidden, which are underground, which one needs to dig out to understand. So this also becomes the house of research, house of other people's money, and so forth. Then the 9th house is the house of religion, the house of gurus, the house of teaching, house of religious activities, also called the house of gains, and this also denotes long distance travels, and also of law. Some ancient texts talk about, and some astrologers take the 9th house to be that of other two. The 10th house denotes karma, where the action lies. One of the most important, or the most important houses in the chart, in the horoscope. It denotes society, your business, your career, your work profession, and what are the and how your professional career is going to progress, and also governmental benefits. And then the 11th house denotes gains from society, gains from elder brother. So while the 3rd house denotes gains from a relationship with or younger brothers and siblings, the 11th house denotes elder brothers and siblings, and also friends, society in general, large organizations, and your relationships or how society sees you. So the first house is you, how others see you. 11th house is how you have what your gains from society are going to be. And then the 12th house, the last house on the horoscope, denotes wastages, denotes expenses, denotes how the restriction, solitude. That's why it's also the house of hospitals, the house of jails, the foreign lands, because when you go abroad, you have to leave your family generally and go alone, or just with basic family. It also denotes left eye. So once you understand the meaning of the various houses and what they denote, what are the 4 Kendra houses, what are the 3 trine houses, what are the Dostana houses, 6, 8 and 10, what are the Upshaya houses, 3, 6, 3, 10 and 11, what the Lagna signs, then we need to move forward. Now let's input signs in these houses based on when the person is born. So if a person is born at the time when Cancer sign was rising in the east, he automatically becomes of the ascendant coming under Cancer sign, or his ascendant or his Lagna is that of Cancer, Kark. So if Cancer or Kark Rashi, as it is called in Sanskrit, in the first house, then automatically the sign after that, which is Leo, becomes the 2nd house, Virgo the 3rd house, Libra the 4th, Scorpio the 5th, Sagittarius 6th, Capricorn 7th, Aquarius 8th, Pisces 9th, Aries 10th, Taurus 11th, and Gemini 12th. And we also know that each one of them has a sign lord, or the planet which controls that particular sign, or the lord of the sign. So we have Cancer ruled by Moon, Leo ruled by the Sun. However, the rest of the 10 houses are ruled by 5 planets, which means each planet holds or has the lordship of 2 houses each, or 2 signs each, and through them 2 houses each. So Mercury has the ownership of Gemini and Virgo. Mars has the ownership of Aries and of Scorpio. Venus has the lordship of Taurus and Libra, and therefore in this particular horoscope of the 11th house and the 4th house. And then Saturn has the lordship or ownership of Capricorn sign and Aquarius sign, and therefore because of the placement in this particular horoscope has the lordship of the 7th and 8th house. And Jupiter has the ownership or lordship of Sagittarius and Pisces, and thus in this particular horoscope automatically owns or lords over the houses 6 and 9. The next step after understanding the lordship of houses is to understand the placement of planets in the horoscope. So for instance, if a person is born in the Cancer ascendant or Cancer sign, and at the time of his birth, the planetary placement is such that you have Jupiter in the 4th house in the sign of Libra, Moon in the 6th house in Sagittarius, Sun and Mercury in Capricorn in the 7th house, Rahu and Venus in Aquarius in the 8th house, the 9th house is vacant, 10th house is Mars and Saturn in the sign of Aries, 11th house is vacant, 12th house is vacant. So is the first house of the Lagna vacant. Rahu and Ketu are the north node and the south node of the moon. However, they don't have the lordship of any sign. So it's told, or it is believed that Rahu also co-lords over the sign of Aquarius, where it is currently sitting also. It may sit in any other house, in another sign. And Ketu owns or co-owns, co-lords over Scorpio, along with Mars. And in this horoscope is sitting in the second house in Leo. So once you understand the placement of the planets, the next step is to understand the relationship between the planets. We see the placement in this particular horoscope. So while we understood earlier the relation between planets in terms of being friends or enemical to each other or being enemies or neutral, in this particular horoscope, basis how they sit, we are going to see what is the relationship between them. Which means, are they forming some sort of a conjunction, some sort of a partnership to give a certain yog or certain sort of a good or bad result. So in Vedic astrology, or astrology practiced at the time of Vedic times, if Sun and Mercury are sitting in a house with at a distance of at least 14 degrees between them, then they form the Buddha-Aditya yoke. Buddha is for Buddhi or for Mercury. Mercury is also called Buddha in Sanskrit. And Sun is called Aditya, that's why Buddha-Aditya yoke. Now, so that's one yoke which we can identify. The other yoke that we can identify is of the Nijbhang Rajyoga, because Saturn is debilitated in the sign of Aries, and it sits in the sign of Aries, where the Lord of the sign also sits there. So when a debilitated planet sits in a house and it has an aspect of the Lord, or the ownership or the owner of the sign also sits in the same house, which means that Nijbhang Rajyoga is formed. So these are two yogs which are being formed, the Nijbhang Rajyoga and the Buddha-Aditya yoga. Apart from these, there is one more yoga that I can immediately see in this horoscope, though there can be many if you go minutely, which is the fifth house sitting in the Kendra, in the 10th house, fifth house Lord, sitting in the 10th house, and also the ninth Lord of the trine sitting in the 4th house, and both aspecting each other. We'll come to how planets are aspecting each other in a while. So such a yoga where the 5th house Lord sits in the Kendra and the 9th house Lord also sits in the Kendra, and they aspect each other or sit together, is called the Dharmadi Karmadipati Yoga or Dharm Karm Adhipati Yoga, which is seen as one of the very good yogas, very lucky yoga. So this is the third yoga that we can see. So we see three yogas in this, the Dharm Karma Adhipati Yoga, Buddha Aditya Yoga, and the Nijbhang Raj Yoga. And as I said earlier, if you go into detail, you may be able to see various other yogas based on the planetary placements. So one should be good at identifying this, so that one is good at and adept at identifying these things. The next thing that we need to be good at is to see planetary aspects, or we need to understand planetary aspects. As we all know that all the planets have at least the 7th aspect, bearing Rahu and Ketu, because Rahu and Ketu are two shadow planets who are actually one planet cut into two. I will not go into the story now, some other time. And they don't aspect each other on the 7th because they are exactly diagonally opposite to each other at 180 degrees, which also denote the 7th house from where Rahu is sitting. So if we count from where Rahu is sitting, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, Ketu sits there. So they don't aspect each other because we have aspects similar to Jupiter's, which is 5th and 9th, and not of any other planet. All other planets have at least the 7th aspect, the main aspect, and or they may have other aspects. So let's see each one of them. Moon has the 7th aspect and the only aspect which it has. So sitting in the 6th house, Moon is aspect the 12th house. So if you count from Moon, so you have to count from where the planet sits. So you have to include that house. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So Moon is aspecting the 12th house in the sign of Gemini. If there was a planet sitting there, then we would say Moon is aspecting that planet in the 12th house. Then Jupiter has, again, the first aspect of the basic aspect, which is the seventh aspect. So it is aspecting the 10th house and aspecting Mars and Saturn in the 10th house. Then Jupiter also has the fifth aspect, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and has aspecting the 8th house where Rahu and Venus are sitting. So Rahu and Venus automatically come under the aspect of Jupiter. And then the ninth aspect. So if you count from Jupiter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So Jupiter also has the ninth aspect. So now we know that Moon has the seventh aspect to the 12th house, and Jupiter has the ninth aspect to the 12th house. Then Ketu has the fifth aspect, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and ninth aspect. So Ketu is aspecting the 6th house and aspecting Moon in the 6th house, and Ketu is aspecting Mars and Saturn in the 10th house. So now we know that Jupiter as well as Ketu are aspecting Mars and Saturn in the 10th house. So during the dasha of Jupiter, the results of the 10th house and Mars in the 10th house and Saturn in the 10th house will also be given. At the time of Ketu's dasha, you will also get the results of the 10th house vis-a-vis Mars and Saturn sitting there. Then Sun has also one aspect just like the Moon, which is the seventh aspect. So Sun is directly aspecting the sign opposite it. If we count from the 7th house, we'll be able to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And that's how from the 7th house, every planet will aspect the Lagna of the first house, except Rahu and Ketu. And Mercury sitting here also has the same 7th aspect. So the Lagna now we know is being aspected by two planets. 12th house is being aspected by Jupiter and Moon. And the 10th house is being aspected by Jupiter and Ketu. So far so good. And then we know that Venus has the 7th aspect just like the Sun and the Moon. That is the only aspect that it has. Just like Sun, Moon and Mercury have only one aspect, the 7th aspect. Venus also has only one aspect, which is the 7th aspect. So here Venus is aspecting Ketu. Because Ketu doesn't have the 7th aspect, so Ketu is aspecting just the Moon and the 10th house. Then Rahu has the 5th aspect, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and aspecting the 12th house. And the 9th aspect, just like Ketu, aspecting Jupiter in the 4th house. So we have Jupiter aspecting with his 5th aspect Venus and Rahu with his 9th aspect is aspecting Jupiter. Rahu also aspects the 12th house. So now we have 12th house aspected by Rahu, Moon, and Jupiter. And Saturn, as usual, has the 7th aspect, but Saturn also has a special aspect, which is the 3rd aspect, which nobody has. But only Saturn has. So Saturn is also aspecting the 12th house, which means now 3 planets aspect the 12th house, which also has Rahu and Jupiter. And the other aspect that Saturn has is the 10th aspect. So here, Saturn is also aspecting. So here Saturn is also aspecting the 7th house. The Sun and Mercury are sitting. But the 7th house has Capricorn sign, which is Saturn's own sign. So in a way, Saturn is aspecting his own house, the 7th house. And Mars has the 4th aspect. 7th aspect aspecting Jupiter. And the 8th aspect aspecting his own sign is Scorpio. So one needs to understand all the planetary aspects. So one is very clear. And then the other thing one needs to know is the dasha. What dasha is going on. Based on the dasha, we will also know the planetary placement. What are the results? So Rahu is currently sitting in Cancer and its dasha is on. So Rahu will give the results of its original position at the time of birth or the natal chart, where it sits in the 8th house. And it is going to give the results sitting in the certain sign that it is sitting in, and with its 5th and 9th aspect. And what Antardasha it has will give the results of that house as well. So if the Dasha is Rahu and Antardasha is of Venus, both these planets will give the results during the Rahu Dasha and Venus Antar Dasha. The other thing one needs to know is what is the transit which is happening at that particular point of time. So, if the Dasha is of Rahu and Venus and the Gochar or the transit is of Jupiter, because the planets keep on moving in their orbits in various signs, and along with the Dasha, one should also know what transit is happening, because then we should be able to see the results keeping all the equations in mind. Now that we have seen how one needs to approach reading a chart in its entirety, keeping in mind all the various attributes which go into horoscope more accurately. So this is your astrologer friend Irfan signing off till we meet some other time. Thank you so much, and you have a good